Today we're finishing up the pocket letter for Winter's Veil, and we're going to do a couple of cool things, so hang tight. Hi, this is Kelly with Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and thanks for joining me in the studio today. We've been working on this for a couple of weeks, and today we're finally going to see the end. But I have additives to do, but before I do that, we're going to work on this one right here. And Bob gave me his input this morning. We're going to turn this one into a snowy shaker card. To do that, first off, I have to trim off the top just about 1/8 of an inch. Now I have my heat tool over here, but I want to make sure that I can seal that pocket. So we're going to take that off. Whoops. Things are flying. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to redust it with the Night of Navy. Now there are two pieces here. This is what I initially had in there, and it just looked really bare. So I decided to bring in one of the house cards, but I backed it with this so that this pattern stays intact. So I left that one there, putting that one in. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to seal that up just a little bit, because I don't want any of the shaker stuff to get in the middle. And I'm sorry if I put my head in the way. So I'm going to run a little bit of glue around the border here to seal these edges so that none of my shaky bits get between the two pieces. But we're just going to slap that on there like that. Tap it down to where they match up. Now, before I put this back in, I'm going to use my powder, my static pocket here, because I don't want any of my shaky bits to stick to my pocket. So I'm just going to run that in and out of the pocket, just like that. And then we can come back in, and I'll dust that off a little bit where it, and it's white, so if it shows, that's okay. Now, I have come in with, I picked out some things from my collection. I have these iridescent snowflake sequins from Stampin' Up. I'll put a little bit of those. You can see those there in the palm of my hand. We've got some stars and some iridescent sequins and snowflakes. So we have those to work with. I also have just plain snowflakes from Stampin' Up. They almost look like candy cake toppers, don't they? And I know I dropped another one here. So we'll put a few of those in. And then I have this iridescent glitter. They'll add a little sparkle and shine. And then I also have snow from Martha Stewart. Now this is more of a chunky glitter stuff. It kind of reminds me of the stuff from that Tim Holtz just released. And it's really super soft. And things like that is why it was important that I run the static bag in there. And then if I want a little extra chunky, I have these from Stampin' Up. These were called Effervescent Elements, and they look like little balls. And they're different sizes, so I might drop a few of those in there as well. And to help me get everything in the pocket, I have a little ice cream spoon. And they have these ridges that are just perfect for this. Now I also have my heat tool from Becky Higgins from Project Life, and it has a rotary on the end of it, and that's going to seal our pocket. Now if you don't have this tool, a regular wood burning tool will work. You just have to be cautious, because I think it gets a little hotter and you don't want to melt your pocket away. You just want to seal it. So I'm going to start with, I lost my spoon. Where did it go? Right there. I'm going to start with a little bit of the iridescent snowflake glitter. Not the glitter, the sequins. And I'm just going to drop that in the pocket. But I want some of the regular snowflakes too, and they're not going to dip quite as well. So we're not going to use a lot, just a few. So So we have actual snowflakes and not the stars. So we're going to drop those down in there. And so I don't bump these and knock them everywhere. I'm going to put my lids on them right away. And then we want a shake of this snow in there. I need a little bit more because we want the snow. But it's just not wanting to come out. So let's see if I can really make a mess and do this. Because I want to really put I want it to look like snow in there, not. And then that just snaps back on. Then we'll put a little bit of this glitter in there. And I mean a little. We do not need a lot of this glitter. And I have a sequin trying to run away. It's determined it's not going in that pocket. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to get just a few of these. And see that sequin I thought was going in there? Has found its way across my desk. And I'm going to capture it and stick it back in there. There we go. Now you just want to make sure that your edges are clean. And you want to work on a glass mat of some type. And I have my tool here that will let me run this across. Now I need to be able to see where I'm going. Because, and I'll try to keep my head out of the way, that would go right there, so I'm going to move it right there. And I think right there will do it. And then this will let me run this without my cheater so I can see this. And I'm going to run right across that space. Okay? And that sealed that up. I want to make sure I went all the way across. This just let me keep a straight line. Okay? And then see, we have all our shaky bits are in there. And they're not going anywhere. So that is our shaker for this. Now I'm going to unplug my tool so it can start cooling down. And then we're going to take care of the rest of this. Now, before we do anything else on the outside, I have these chipboard pieces that I made. And so we're going to pull these out. Now I will warn you, we're not going to see a lot of this one because we're going to put a border on, remember? So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one in place right on top of that one. And see, it gives it a little bit dimension away from the one in the background. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Like that. And we're just going to give those a minute to set while I talk about our border. I finished the border. Turn it right side up. I finished the border, and this is going to go right over here along the edge, and we're still going to be able to poke through it and put our holes in. That was one of the questions my husband had this morning. He says, well, how are you going to be able to put that in the binder? I says, well, yeah, it's easy. So I'm going to tuck those into place, because now I have this one that needs to run across here, and this one needs the industrial tape. So I'm going to get my industrial tape out, because I need it to really stick to that plastic good. So let's see, move this over so I can get up here where you can see. And it doesn't need to cover the whole back, it just needs to go end to end. And get my, oops, I think my sticky scissors are over on the other table, so we're going to have to fake it with these. See, that's a good stick. It sticks. And then we're going to take that right there. And put that back where it belongs. And then I'm going to take my squeegee tool and I'm going to now you can do a bone folder with this. You just want to really burnish that down into the paper good. And then we'll come back, peel the red paper off the back, just like that. Bring this back over. Make sure we're going right side up. Now what I did was, this was a strip from that paper, and I just backed it with the blue glitter. And I want to try and center that Winter Wishes right in with that deer pocket right there. Push that down. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with this, but I need to pay attention to how this is going on here. So I think I'm going to run the red tape right along here. Much as I've been using this lately, I probably want to pick up another roll of this when I go to town. Now the reason I'm not doing it down the center is because I don't want to put the red tape over the holes. Because then I'd have to punch through it and it wouldn't work very well. But this should give me enough. Move this out of the way. Burnish this down, and I'm going to go in the direction of my creases here because I want to really burnish this into those creases where we put those pieces on the end. And I got a little snippet here I want to take off. I think I got it off my finger. And then come back and do this. Trying to make sure all my trash goes in the trash can. And then this is going to stick right along that edge, just like that. And because I got some sticky there above that, I'm just going to go right there and dust that off. But see, now none of that is showing, none of that red tape is showing through my holes. And now we can come back with our punch. Flip this over, find our holes right there. And we're going to have to use the big cropper for that one, because the standard isn't going to punch through all those layers. So we'll come back with our big punch. Okay. And I'm going to open this so I can see my positioning in the hole right there. And I can come back in here. Why did it look like I had something in the middle? Okay. Case in point, we have an issue. And I don't have a... Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. My crocodile should reach farther, and I want this one. So I should be able to come in cheaper with that one. All the way to there. Yes, I can. That's better. And reach all the way in. See, this is why you want several different types of tools that will do the same thing. Just like that. Okay, so we'll set that off the side. Get my little pokey tool here to get that little punch out of the way. And there we have our shaker pocket letter from our Winter's Veil collection. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. I will be back here tomorrow where we're going to be putting more touches to our December daily album. And then on Tuesday, I already have the Tag Tuesday video uploaded. It's ready to go. So I will see you back here tomorrow. In the meantime, please remember to like, to share, and subscribe. And creative blessings.